Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have another cast. It's going to be a three-player free-for-all between Ickley, Lanertos and Maxence. I'm going to go right in here and select my commander spawn point and wait for them to do so, at which point I will delete my commander and continue the game. Okay, so deleting my commander now. And we can see where these players have spawned. Lanertos in white has spawned pretty much in the middle of nowhere. They have got a few metal spots, so that is of a good disadvantage to them, I'm afraid. They don't have too many around them. Looking for Maxence, who's actually spawned in the north, has a few more metal sites, so that should be reasonably defendable. Plus, they're all in the region of these sort of few craters here. So that should be pretty good as well. They can defend between these and use those as choke points and maybe stage some assaults from them. Look at Ickley's spawn now. Got a few sites of metal himself. Again, like Lanertos, spawned in a reasonably open region. Now these players are sort of spawned on various different regions of this moon planet, as you can see, and I suspect Maxence might become something of a piggy in the middle. As often happens in free-for-alls, you often get people shooting at each other in that. Looking at Lanertos, they've gone for 2 metal sites here and are going for a long walk to try and find some other ones. That is going to cost them some valuable time, and they have not gone for your standard Mex Energy Mex factory build order here, so that should be interesting to see how that's going to affect them and what their strategy is in a result to that. Ickley, however, has gone for the typical build and is already getting some fabricators out of a vehicle factory that is already produced. The same can be said for Maxence, although it appears Ickley is slightly ahead with that second power generator right there. Other than that, those players are pretty much identical in terms of what they've produced. However, Lanertos is at a great disadvantage at the moment without any factories or energy generation. I suspect we might be moving down here to produce a factory, indeed we are, and it is a vehicle factory, and I suspect they will be getting either a fabricator or a skitter out of that. They might be going for an ant, but at this point, given that they've already lost valuable time, I would definitely go for a fabricator. A second one coming out already from Maxence, and who is also going for something strange. You don't often see metal storage in these games, because, well, if you have enough metal sites, you shouldn't need any metal storage. Because, well, you wouldn't be going negative, or you'd be controlling your economy well enough. But it's playing it safe, and if that works, it works. You can't argue with that. That Ickley has a skitter going out, and he's going to looks as though it's about to fork north and find out where Maxence has spawned. If it doesn't get caught in the crater, no, it doesn't. Good. That is something you have to fear in this alpha build. A little bit of pathfinding here and there. And indeed, Ickley now knows where Maxence has spawned and can think about making some north defences while expanding down here to the south with some of these metal sites and continuing to build up some energy. Maybe that factory could be doing to build some either another fabricator or 2, or maybe even some ants. Looking back at Lanertos, we finally got some fabricators out and some energy too. The fabricators themselves aren't doing anything. Maybe using them to build either some energy or going around to find some metal, and expanding down here would be quite safe for them, if I'm honest. You have these 3 craters and you're a reasonable way away from all the other spawns. Unfortunately though, they don't have intel on spawn points and so cannot really take that risk at this point in time. These are going to go for some metal storage of their own. Again, playing it safe, so that should be all fine for them. If it works, it works. We've also got another fabricator out, and Ickley is about to get intel on Lanertos spawn, and we'll think about getting some southerly defences going as well. Not southerly, sorry. Easterly. Yeah, and possibly southerly and westerly, but that depends on how the game progresses and who's going to exploit whose flanks. Meanwhile, we've got another 2 vehicle factories, not 2 vehicle factories, 1 vehicle factory and an air factory up from Maxence now, who's also got some energy storage. So we'll see some scouts coming out of there, some ants beginning to accumulate, and some intel also getting achieved from Maxence. Meanwhile, Ickley has got the similar number of ants, only one vehicle factory at the moment. Maybe it's wise to build a second one at this point, because at that point you can really start to boost your military production and start to get ahead in the game in terms of army composition and unit numbers. Planetos still expanding to various different metal sites all over, getting as much as they possibly can, because they cannot do all that much else. Maxence now has the info on Ickley's spawn, and indeed we do see the second vehicle factory going up right there for Ickley. Those ants are going to kill that scout, and even a third one now going up as well. So that should really put Ickley ahead in this game. Planetos got a second vehicle factory on pause right now. Maybe their economy can't quite handle the fact that they are getting 2 fabricators, 3 fabricators in fact, assisting 1 metal, and maybe they're just waiting for things to accumulate, although it would really be wise for them at this point to produce that factory. They have got some anti-air going up, which is good, but all they've seen is a scout come over their base. Maybe their cage has been rattled, we'll have to see. But honestly, at this point, I don't really see all that much use for it, because bumblebees do not do enough damage. Especially if you can get some ants out, they can take out the bumblebees without any trouble at all, mostly. Well, these fabricators again doing not a whole lot. Maybe they could be building up some factories or even some more power gen while the commander does the factories. Indeed, there's more storage coming up from Planetos while they continue to expand to various different metal sites around the map, which is good. It gets you map control and it gets you your income. However, if you can defend them, it's even better. If you can't, then it's just a matter of time really before things start going awry for you. Ickley there has managed to fully finish Metal Extractor. I'm not sure if they've realised that or not, but they have got this sort of mini defensive line up here with these walls. We'll have to see what bearing that has. We did have a brief engagement here between Ickley and Maxence by the look of it, and it looks as though Ickley came away on the worst side of that engagement, losing a fair few ants there, and now having to start again and reaccumulate, and that commander going to go back and continue that 4th vehicle factory there. And all of these vehicle factories could well be doing to build ants, indeed they are. And I hope that 4th one also starts to produce ants as soon as it is made. Ickley themselves expanding to various different metal sites around, which is good for their income and their map control. However, we do see a tier 2 vehicle factory coming up from Maxence now in the north. This could really start to punch some holes in Ickley and Planetos, especially if you can get some levelers and shellers out without enough ants and equal levelers to defend them, or even some point defense. They will just steamroll through, find the commander, and just go, hello! And goodbye, and there will also be a spectacularly large nuclear explosion, killing a various amount of surrounding units at that point. But we get ahead of ourselves. We'll have to see who dies, who survives, and who lives to fight another day. Getting some point defense up in the middle of the base there, just in case something does manage to get through. Although it might be wise to expand to some sort of front here, maybe getting about 4 or 5 point defense with walls across between those 2 craters might be a good idea as well, especially considering the spawns here. And we have some more ants accumulating, building up, although Maxence does have a lot more ants actually at this point than Ickley does. Ickley does have that factory going up as well, another tier 2 factory. Excuse me. However, Maxence will get theirs up first, because there is only one fabricator building this one, and Maxence has 2 and it's been going for longer, so that'll definitely get up and pumping levels out faster. We've also got some scampers being built here from a bot factory. That is interesting. You don't often see bots being used in these games. And now this is what I suspected we'd see. Lanertos expanding all the way down here to all of these metal sites now, claiming that land, claiming that econ, and can really start to churn out a few factories and units now, as we can see here with storage and all sorts of things going on. We have got a factory idle at the moment, so maybe if that can build some ants, that would serve their team well. It appears we have some mobilization inside Maxence's base. We've got a lot of ants moving around, maybe going to try and sweep around, down and in through this flank. But if this commander is going to continue to build these point defense, it is really going to start to put a lot of jeopardy on that plan that is possibly forming in Maxence. All I can do is speculate at this point, although it does appear as though something is going to happen around here on the western front. And we've got continued econ and expansion going up from Ickley, and a similar scenario from Lanertos, however without the econ and not econ, sorry, intel. And continued econ production is pretty good. I mean, look at these energy generators. They are sort of half building a bunch, but those are going up pretty darn quick, and they will go up reasonably quickly there. And it's continuing to be made from Lanertos' base. We don't really have enough yet to take on these teams, especially Maxence at the moment, who has an awful lot of ants. And if they could mobilize them at this point, especially now that they have a leveler in there, they could really utilize that advantage before Ickley gets their tier 2 factory and leveler out themselves. I mean, if you have a technology advantage, you use it as fast as you can before other people get that technology. That way, you can actually get into the base before they can counter it, and you can do a whole lot more damage and maybe even prevent them from reaching that technology level for even longer, giving you a compounded advantage because you'll have damaged their economy and their military production by that point. Interesting how we have this sort of advanced anti-air here. I say advanced because it's not sat in the middle of the base, it's sort of more out, maybe I should have said forward anti-air. Because those aren't going to do a whole lot against a bunch of ants if they decide to come knocking. As they are anti-air, they only do a minimal amount of damage to those land units. More point defense just going up sort of in various different places. Lanertos definitely turtling at this point, it appears. Although they now have 7 factories, so if they can get the econ to support that, they are going to get a heck of a lot of ants building at a reasonable pace there. Maxence could probably be doing to build a few more factories and maybe even expanding a bit more. They are very limited in terms of their econ possibilities. And these ants are going to move down now. They are going to see that wall. They are going to get distracted by that wall. While the point defense just has free reign over them, the wall goes down, the point defense goes down, the fabricator goes down. There's another wall over there, that's going to go down, as is the point defense. These are going to walk in here, they're going to meet a few ants. There's an anti-air who's not going to do anything. These ants are going to sit there, and it's about time that their commander either hightailed it out of the base, or indeed moving the rest of these ants around. But there aren't enough ants in the rest of the base to hold off against such a push right now. They are completely outnumbered and outgunned. Possibly moving the commander in at this point could be a good idea. If they can get a D-gun, that whole group would go. We do have a flank from these ants here, but there is a leveler in there, and that is something to watch out for. And the commander's just going to sit there in the open. No, he's not. He's going to run away now, and that is pretty good idea from them. They are going to go down. They are going to see this tier 2 factory. They are going to focus fire on that to try and stop any further levelers being produced. It is going to go down. This is going to knock Ickley back several yards now in terms of production and econ. And in fact, if they continue to push down here, they are just almost going to obliterate Ickley's original base. If their commander can keep running, maybe they can link up with this econ field over here and begin to reproduce while Maxence maybe goes for Lanertos. All the while, however, Lunertos now making full use of all of these factories and is building a reasonable ant force of their own, along with a tier 2 vehicle factory themselves, getting some levelers out there as well. And those ants aren't going to go the wrong way. The commander is going to get away this time. But you do have the scout there. He's going to come around and try and go, I know there's a commander around here. You tell me where he is. And in fact, the scout isn't going to find that commander just yet. And he's going to be safe to get down here to this econ field and start producing extras. Although it is quite close to Lunertos. We do have a second econ field over here. It's not particularly well defended. I mean, it has got a point defense, but that's not going to hold up too much against all of this. You've got walls distracting, but the anti-air isn't going to do a whole lot against all of these because they are anti-air. There is one point defense remaining. It is going to get focused down. It is going to get destroyed, and then anti-air is going to take out an ant. I'm glad I got that there. Anti-air taking out your ant right there. And it's going to meet 3 more anti-air. The ant is probably going to get taken down, actually. Yes, it is. And the anti-air is going to go down without a fight. There it goes. All that remains of Ickley's original base is this radar, these 2 walls, and various econ fields now. Looking at it, however, Lunertos has a huge army of ants now. And if they utilise this reasonably well, along with getting some of these levelers out now, I mean, they are going for T2 fabricators at the moment, but if they can get some levelers out, they can really start to pack a punch. Especially before Maxence can create too many levelers. They have got three now. The 4th is about to be finished. They have got some secondary point defense towers now, which is definitely going to help in their defense. In fact, they're going to get some energy up now, so maybe they're going to really start spamming out some factories when they get this tier 2 energy out. And they can really bolster their ant production, because at the moment they are producing ants, that's all well and good, but they aren't producing as many as they could be. And good to see that they are expanding at last, but not to a huge extent. I mean, Lunertos has done the most expansion at this point. Ickley had expanded quite a reasonable amount. Unfortunately, however, Maxence had that ant raid and it obliterated their original base. Looking around, we've got various levelers sort of moving in different directions. Blimey, I really don't like the way that zooming around the poles really scuffs the camera up a little bit. But the levelers are going to move through the base. There is a sheller in there as well. Is that a sheller? I do believe it's a sheller. Yes, that's what it's called. So we've got some sort of mobile artillery in there as well. We have got a fair few ants now too. And these are going to mobilise. They're going to go up here and probably prepare to move up north. Indeed, here we go. The scout is probably just about going to see them, and the ants are going to move down along with the levelers because they see this huge clump of white units right here, and they do not want that to get any closer to the base than is actually necessary. You don't want those ants to get shoved into the crater. It looks as though one of them might. Yes, it does. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You really want to watch out for that because the craters in this alpha really do mess up the pathfinding. You want to move them away from the crater before they do get stuck. They can get out, but it's not guaranteed. And they're just going to continue to sort of stream into that crater now. All the while, the ants and the levelers and the sheller are going to set up their front line up here. So it's almost a pitch battle, and we've got some little scampers in there as well to support. Not really sure why, but they're just going to sort of go, yep, we're going to fight with you, but we're not really sure what we're going to do. And it's good to see that Ickley has now got their air factory up, maybe planning to get some commander sniping in now, considering that ants failed them. We'll probably see an advanced air factory going up soon-ish. We've got walls going around the outside of their base, so they're probably going to just sort of turtle between these two craters now. Back over here. The army's still staring each other down. Lenertos used Intimidate. It was not very effective. Sorry, all of these references are terrible, especially when I'm tired and haven't had much sleep. But the ants are going to continue to roll out from Lenertos, bolstering the numbers here. Maxence has been doing so, but not to such a greater extent, but they are getting that second vehicle factory going now. So that's going to go up pretty darn quick and help with the level of production there. However, Lenertos does not have that second advanced vehicle factory. They do have the levelers and the ants and all this, and they also have a commander who's not doing anything right now. If they could make use of all of these units and fabricators, they could probably be a fair bit further in terms of what's going on and building and econ wise. I mean, what Maxence might consider doing is maybe moving a sort of task force of ants down and having a scout and see if they can raid some econ, but it doesn't look as though that raid is going to materialise at present, because there's such a threat in terms of this white blob right here that they're probably going to need all of their current forces to try and fight off, especially in a pitched battle like this. And here it is. Let's move in now. Go into free cam. Zoom in a little bit and see who's going to win. Indeed, white does, just sitting there, able to focus fire down those units, and now it is only a matter of time before, indeed, they can really... Whoa, hello. Hugely apologise for that. Still a little confused as to how to work that camera, but it looked cool while it worked. So these whites are now going to move up through this econ expansion up here, and they're going to take that out reasonably easily, without a fuss now. I mean, the only things that they have in countering in terms of what Maxence has are a few ants, and they do have a few levelers, but the same can be said for Lenertos. So at this point it is still a relatively even battle, although if you are on your home playing field, you'll know it is a lot easier than if you're on your away field, especially if half of your force has just got stuck in a crater. That is really unfortunate for Lenertos right here. And here comes the counter-attack right now. Is it going to be enough? It doesn't look like it, though they do have the tier 2 point defense in the base. The commander's sitting over there idle at the moment. And Ickley really exploiting the fact that this army is in here right now and is doing this damage to Maxence's base. It appears it's a sort of dog chases the cat, chases the mouse, chases the dog sort of thing at this point. So it's a sort of circular battle right now. I wonder whether we'll see Ickley maybe take on Lenertos from the back while they're somewhat preoccupied. But all of the point defense in the base has finally got a use while it starts to take down these ants. The tier 2 point defense missing a lot actually, and there's the end of that attack. We do have a lot in the crater though. If they could sort of move these, I mean, I have managed to get units out of craters, but it does take a lot of movement orders to do so. As you can already see, there's, you know, all of them sort of remain in there, stuck in various craters. And it is only a matter of time. Who was that? That was indeed Maxence giving the GG. Well played, sir. Nicely done at the beginning, taking out Ickley's original base. Unfortunately, however, you didn't quite have enough to tackle Lenertos. You're going to want to keep an eye on everyone in an FFA rather than just your nearest neighbour, especially if you have a turtle among you. And as I suggested, Ickley was going to go for this tier 2 air factory. They have managed to pause it, however, while they get some vehicle factories and ants, because I believe they may fear the worst in terms of what Lenertos has just around the corner. And here it is mobilizing right now. Lenertos does know where Ickley's base is, and we are going to see this fight turn out right now. It is only a matter of time before these ants reach this base. They're going to skirt round this crater, away from the walls, away from the commander indeed, who is going to get out of that base. No, he's not. He's just going to sit there and build some more point defenses. These levelers and ants are going to keep moving up, tackling down this storage. They're going to see the advanced air factory, and they're going to eliminate that as well. Hummingbirds coming in, trying to do something desperately, but not managing it. They're just going to sit here now, but the bumblebees are going to come in. They aren't going to do much either. They are going to take out a few units, but they aren't going to make enough of an impact into this army of ants and levelers now. They are going to take a second pass. They are going to get a third pass in, and it is the only sort of countering now that this lot has to experience are a load of anti-air turrets, these few point defense turrets, and the commander, and it looks as though Ickley might be on the run at this point. All of this econ field cannot defend itself. The ants are going to sweep round and through, while the commander does look as though he's going to make a second miraculous escape this game. And maybe go to that other economic expansion point we saw earlier. This fabricator on the right of the screen now is not going to get this point defense tower up in time. He's going to give up on that. He's going to save his life and go and assist the commander in their secondary production. Those ants have completely obliterated that expansion base over there. Let's go and see where the commander is. He's pegging it over here. He does not want these things to find him. And I'm not sure if they have, but they are definitely moving in the right direction, and now they are moving in the wrong direction. I wonder whether the commander can really pull this back in terms of turtling up rapidly. I mean, you have got a fabricator here getting some metal, and that's going to go up very slowly. It looks as though in the meantime we did see the secondary econ base completely go down from Ickley, so that is rather unfortunate for them as well. And Lunetos just having a little bit of jibing there at Ickley's advanced air factory that he did take down. These fabricators trying desperately to pull whatever they can out of the hat right now. Ickley's commander just sort of sitting there in the open. It's more a game of cat and mouse and inevitability than anything else now. While Lunetos builds up their ants and levelers at this point, as they will gradually just move around the map and hone down this commander and eliminate him. As I've said many a time, it is the fault of the colour pink. Always go purple, not pink. I mean, here we've got red. Red is a nice powerful colour. Green is a cool colour as well, but red is powerful. And I don't really know why I'm talking about colours, but there we go. We're going to get this power gen up. It doesn't look as though they're going to be able to do too much before the vehicles arrive. They are going to mobilise now, they are going to sort of move around, but it might be wise for Lunetos to get out a few air scouts and to go and find the commander, though it appears as though they are not going to be doing said avenue of strategy. They're just going to build up a nice blob of ants and levelers here. That is a lot of ants and levelers actually there, and all around the map now actually, in various different craters. Ickley's still clinging on for dear life wherever his commander's gone. There it is, hidden behind those two power gen icons. It will not be long before units start centering in on that position. And I wonder what Ickley's thinking now in terms of whether they can bring this back or whether they just want to defend to the last. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. These ants are going to move around now. This whole army, in fact, is going to take out that radar. Whether they're going to continue to sweep north, or whether they are going to now decide to go west, remains to be seen. If they go west, that commander is in huge danger. He realises this. He's going to get out of there before the ants get to the base, just in case he can survive in any way possible. These ants are actually going to come back to the base. And if I'm honest, it appears as though the game is pretty much lost for Ickley right now. I'm going to pause the recording until the final push commences, and update you on any updates in the game. We do now see an air scout coming out from Lunertos. Good idea. Really going to find this commander now very rapidly indeed. I mean, they have got a long way to go in terms of where the scout actually has to cover to find the commander, but they'll probably have a second one out. And as I see here, we've also got a vehicle factory going up from Ickley. It's not really going to do enough. I wonder whether it will actually get up in the first place. Did appear as though the scout might have got intel on it, at which point you might have a small task force of ants that, well, preferably aren't stuck in a crater, going and just neutralising that small threat of small threats. I wonder whether the commando is sort of thinking, okay, I'm going to just run into your base and suicide because I'm sort of conceding defeat right here. I'll just have to see what's going on. What is the commander planning on doing? We do not know. The scout has found this now, and I shouldn't be surprised if we do see an ant task force moving out to take it down as soon as possible. The commander down here now as well, building up a vehicle factory at speed, so they can only really produce ants and more ants and more ants and more ants. Even getting a second vehicle factory, but all they can do now is build ants and defend for as long as possible. Lunertos desperately trying to find the commander. He has only got one scout out as it appears at the moment. Maybe if you get a second scout out, you'll be able to cover a greater area. Scout's going to find all of these various different buildings around the place. And here's the finding of the commander. The catapult has him as well. Looked like it was a catapult. Yes, it is a catapult, and there is the commander. The catapult is going to keep hitting him. The scout is going to do so as well. The catapult destroying that vehicle factory without mercy right there. And the commander really now about to die. It's just a matter of time before the catapult and the ants come in. Here come the ants right now. Let's zoom in here and see what can be done. The catapult, the commander just building defences against various catapults now, but as the ants are on the horizon, it is not going to be too long before we see an explosion here, maybe even a GG from Ickley in the meantime, who can only ever run away. Continued catapult rockets coming over the horizon there, and another beautiful defense against it, buying as much time as possible while the commander gets away. That scout is just going to keep the intel on the commander now, while these ants and levelers are going to run around the crater. Interesting. Maybe he wants to kill him with the commander, or maybe he wants to give him time to live. But it did appear as though that was the end. Maybe it was not for the commander. And now here, just outside the outskirts of Lunertos base, we see a huge white blob of ants and levelers, just ready to sweep in through all of this base now. I'm going to zoom in right here and put the camera back into glorious sort of dynamic mode, as it were. Just following the commander running around the map. Just got the little bit of the factory in the distance while it's getting destroyed. We can see there, while the commander is just desperately trying to run away in the foreground. And all we can do now is see as the ants and levelers come over the horizon. That is an ominous image, is it not? Almost like that scene from various films we see, medieval, Lord of the Rings, all of this sort of stuff. As the units do come over that horizon, the commander is just going to think, oh no, I can't outrun this forever. He's going to get finished on that point defense. All he's going to do now is just build random point defenses as these units are going to catch up to him now, dangerously close. Indeed, he's managed to get back to this mini econ base here that is building, by the look of it, and a vehicle factory there. In fact, it's an advanced vehicle factory, but the commander now stuck in a crater. He is immobile. He cannot get away. If he can get down into the crater, he might be able to survive until some bombers can get to him. In fact, no, he is not. These ants now are going to... There's the GG, and there is the commander explosion. Beautiful image. Very well played from all three players there. Again, game to Lanertos, well played to Ickley and Maxence. Thank you for watching this cast. I've got many more on the way. I've also got other projects coming along. Almost finished Walking Dead recording, those will be uploading very soon. Stick around for those. Don't forget to check out my Twitch channel as well, which is also Mega Marshal XP. It'll probably have a Planetary Annihilation link with it, so if you just search for Planetary Annihilation you'll probably find it there. I'll probably be streaming those more and more as the days go by. And again, thank you very much. Do drop a like or a comment. Don't feel afraid to ask any questions that you may have. Just get them out there. And make sure you subscribe for all the content I have mentioned. Thanks again for watching. See you next time and have a nice day.